Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. My guest, Doug Benson, joins us in just a bit. I talked to him on Saturday, the day before the Oscars, so we're going to talk about the Oscar picks, which you'll see how well we did. Of course, Doug Loves Movies, movie expert, and so we had fun talking about that. I forgot to ask him about 420. 420 just went by last week, and he's Johnny 420. I know every club fucking clamors to get Doug to come in. He's got it locked down. He's such a big draw that what he does is he goes to comedy clubs and he goes, okay, I'm going to do a show in your club at 4:20 p.m. and you are going to give me all of the ticket sales. And you'll keep the... should I be telling his business model? Maybe I shouldn't. But he doesn't take away their normal scheduled show. He just adds the free money for them. So he gets a good deal. Anyway, what the fuck am I? What am I, his accountant? What am I talking about Doug Benson's goddamn business for? Anyway, at the end of the podcast, I will tell you who won our contest. And because the Oscars were last night, I'm recording this now on Monday, the 26th of April. Just got back from Philly. Did a show in Brea last night. Thanks to the folks that came out at the Brea Improv. Had a blast. And Philly was unbelievable. I had so much fun. It's one of my favorite cities. I got to say, like San Francisco, Philly, New York, 3 favorite cities in the country. And that club is amazing, the Helium Comedy Club. And you know what it is? It's like there's just characters. I am so sad sometimes when I think about that. I've spent the last 21 years in a great city. LA's got a lot to offer. The weather, the beaches, obviously the industry that's allowed me to make a living for all these years, and tons of good friends out here. But the average person on the East Coast is just funnier. That's it. Bigger personalities, ballsier. They make fun of each other. People get it. It's just loud and fun. And I miss that so much. And we had I think I talked about on Sunday Papers, I threw a bunch of women out of one show because they were fucking drunk on wine. And I had another guy who was... I forget why I was talking to him in the crowd, but he started promoting his jewelry business. Italian guy, and he's like, by the way, go to Benson Jewelers on 13th and Chestnut. And I was like, what is this? Is this what you do at your monthly sales meeting? Like, okay, here's what we're doing with the budget this month. I got allocated $20 to go to a stand-up show at Helium, and I'm going to yell out our address. So that should cover us for April. Big, crazy people. I talked to this one couple, and this woman was of Indian descent, and she was stunning. And she was married to this guy, but it was an arranged marriage. Her aunt and his cousin arranged it 21 years before, and they were like in love with each other. They were fucking holding hands during the show. And I researched it later, and I found that arranged marriages have the same success rate, if not better, than drunken hookups at the Blarney Stone in whatever shit town you live in. It's not nice, Greg. I bet your listeners live in nice towns. Had a bunch of people visit me Thursday night. I had some old friends from New York come down. Dimples Liz got shit-faced, couldn't walk very well. She kept... I love her. She's the greatest. I spent a lot of time with her when I lived in New York. And she would try to talk. She was drunk on red wine, and she would try to talk, and then she would stop mid-sentence and just go, I'm sorry. I can't talk. And then my other friend, who's gay, I gave him some, he wanted Blue Chew, which is one of our sponsors here on Fitzdog Radio, boner pills. And he wanted some. And I go, wait a minute, you're gay and you're having erectile dysfunction? And I was like, you ever think maybe you're just not gay? You know, maybe you just like show tunes. You don't have to suck a dick. If you're not getting, because I probably would have erectile dysfunction with a guy too, because I don't know. I'm kidding. It's a joke. He's gay. He's not very gay though. He's just gay. Like you would never know he was in a million years. But he's got all these women that fawn all over him, including Dimples Liz. And he doesn't, he's broken a lot of hearts, my friend. What else happened? My friend Alex came down. He drove down from New York also. I got to play New York, so all my friends don't have to drive down from it to Philly. But my friend Alex and his lovely wife, Linda, we went out to eat, and they came to a show. And they were telling me about my other friend who we went to high school with. And this guy was like just a regular guy. He was just one of the guys, he didn't jump out as, more intelligent than anybody else. I remember he was good at poker. And anyway, the point being, he started a hedge fund years ago. And I knew that he was in the stock market. I didn't know that he owned his own hedge fund. And I looked it up online. I looked up his hedge fund. They manage, ready for this? $4 billion. His company. He's the president. And these funds, apparently you get a percentage of the total amount that you're investing. I don't know how the numbers work, but he's got a house in the Hamptons, on the beach, and then apparently he owns the 70th floor of a building on Central Park South. It's just so crazy because he's the nicest guy and he's a really good dude, but you never would have thought hanging out with him in high school, oh yeah, this guy is going to be worth $100 million someday. But I'm happy for him. It's great. And he was going to come down to the show, but he bailed for some reason. But I'm going to see him in New York this summer. But Jesus, imagine having that kind of money. Would I still be doing this? Yes. I don't think that my professional life would change very much. I kid around sometimes about walking away, but I just think that's just I get overwhelmed with stress. But I pretty much do exactly what I want. And I don't have $100 million, but I just check my balances, and I have over $7,000 in the bank right now. So, I'm right there. No, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Look at this expensive artwork behind me. I'm sitting in my living room today instead of Fitzdog Studios. I was about to leave to go to my office to record this, and my Prius, the battery died in my Prius. I think I left a light on when I went away this weekend, so I'm doing it in my living room. Anyway, who cares? What's going on with Greg Gutfeld's show? How's Gutfeld? How's his comedy? I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but he's always struck me as a kind of a great comedic mind. Is he doing this with the glasses? Is he doing that thing? I don't know. Why is it that Republicans can't make funny TV shows? All the late night shows. And don't tell me because Hollywood won't let that voice on the air. Bullshit. If it makes money, they would put it on the air. Bottom line. But why is there no late night comedy shows that skew to the right? And I'm not saying this in any way they're stupid or they're not funny. But it's just a phenomenon that they're all very left-leaning. From Colbert to John Oliver to Bill Maher to Kimmel, Samantha Bee, the one female. It's crazy. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Email me. Let me know. I'm open to suggestions. What else? Oh, we got to go. Oh, my God, if you're in debt, and a lot of people are after this last year, can I suggest that you check out my new sponsor, Upstart? They're a fantastic company. Look, I was in debt when I was starting out, and I was making $500 a week. This was for a few years. And I had to pay my own travel to get to the gig, fucking pay for my meals on the road, pay a commission, pay taxes. And when I would get that envelope in the mail with the bill in it, I opened that shit like it was the Oscars. It was like the Oscar for the best supporting guy who shouldn't belong to a gym or have HBO subscriptions, but does anyway. That was the award I was winning every month, and it dragged on me. It sucked, and then eventually I paid it off. And I swear to God, I felt like I had just gotten out of jail. So, what you can do right now with Upstart is you pay off all your debts, all your personal. It's all in one personal loan online. Pay off some credit cards. Maybe get some high interest debt. Turn your garage into a man cave or a BDSM chamber. Whatever. Do you with this money? 500,000 people have used Upstart, and now they've got one fixed monthly payment every month. So Upstart looks at more than just. Here's why it's great. They're not just looking at your credit score. They look at your income, your employment history. There's ways you can appeal to them. So get your best rates with the most trusted partners that they work with. I did the rate check online. They have a rate check. You go on. It takes 5 minutes and find out what your rate is. Just check it out. Find out what your rate's going to be. You can get loans between $1,000 and $50,000. And what's really cool is when I do an ad, that sponsor gives me free samples. So they sent me $50K, a check. I'm kidding. I got a tote bag and a keychain. Thanks, Upstart. By the way, you get the money the day after they accept a loan. So find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/Greg. That's upstart.com/Greg. Don't forget to use our URL. Let them know that I sent you. If you want these ads to continue and the podcast to be able to pay for its producers, etc., then put in the URL GREG. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/Greg. Okay, that was a good ad read. I like when I believe in my companies. You know, it helps me do a good ad read. Hold on, I got to plug in my computer here. I'm losing battery. Can I do it? Hold on, everybody. Just relax. If you're listening to this podcast, you're not seeing my struggle that I'm doing right now. Okay, get this plugged in. All right, we got battery power. All right, what else? Let's get to some fun stuff, some listener-supported content. Got some nice emails. Greg, you could have mentioned white privilege with that one. I was taken to the police station once because of hitchhiking, and on the way, I was berating him in my well-brought-up-ish way and his obvious problems with his mother. And I see that as an example of what we know we could get away with. That's from Margaret. Yes, I have been arrested about 4 times, and I consistently was kind of a douche about it. And one time I was in jail for the night, one time in Tarrytown, and I was wising off to the cop, and he reached into the cell, grabbed my hair back when I had bangs, and he smashed my head against the wall like 3 times, and it hit my mouth, and I was bleeding. And I took it, but I earned it. But it wasn't a fucking gang jump. I think there was a little white privilege, a little restraint, maybe. I don't know what happened to you, Margaret. I'd love to know more about your arrest. I can't believe you get arrested for hitchhiking. John Silman says, Greg, the Stephen Tobolowsky episode was one for the Fitzdog Radio Hall of Fame. I agree. I loved having Tobolowsky on. I heard him on another podcast. I reached out to him on Twitter. I was so joyous he came on, and he delivered. Haven't laughed that hard since Greg Hahn called in with the story about going to acting school. Also done some shows with Steve Simone down here. Oh, he's down in Florida. Steve Simone, by the way, if you're in Florida and you get a chance to see him, he left L.A. I think he's taking care of his folks a little bit. Check him out. Always funny. This is from Sharon Albach. Greg, my husband and I saw you a few years back at Dr. Grin's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Excited to talk to you after the show so I could tell you that our daughter's name is Josephine Rose. But when we got to you, I got starstruck. That happens to me a lot. Starstruck. That's the level I'm at. Jesus. You got a low tolerance for stars, sweetheart. Sharon. But I'm touched. That is nice, though. It's nice that I struck somebody with my stardom. I shook your hand, and all I could say was love the podcast. Twice. Ugh. Anyway, I'm listening to your interview with Laurie Kilmartin right now, and it reminded me to contact you. I also had a great aunt named Josephine, and always loved the name. My middle name is Rose, so it works perfectly. Yeah, I love my daughter's name, and we're talking about, she's turning 18 this summer, and we've discussed tattoos, which she wants to get. And I think the whole family is going to get the same tattoo. We're going to get an Irish harp, which is a symbol of the British occupation when they tried to crush our culture. We were not allowed to speak Gaelic, which is the Irish language. We're not allowed to play Irish music, and the harp was banned under penalty of, I don't know what. You went to jail if you had a harp, but people would hide them in their basements or whatever they had, and they'd come over and they'd have what you call sessions. So we're going to get the harp. I think all four of us are getting it in different places. I'm going neck. I think I'm going neck to hide up some of the wrinkles. Look at this fucking neck on me. Jesus Christ. I'm pulling my sweatshirt up. All right, couple quick nicknames. I've been telling you guys about my friends' nicknames growing up. I thought that would be a fun twist on it. I told you about some last week. This week, I'm going to tell you about my friend Brian. We used to call him Sap. We were mean. Our nicknames were not kind and fun. We called him Sap because he was always being kind of taken advantage of. He was easy to fool. But he was also clever. He was in culinary arts, which once you get to high school in Tarrytown, you can decide to opt out of the academic curriculum and go into like engine repair, culinary arts, like a profession that you go into. So he went into culinary arts, and he learned how to make gingerbread houses. And so we would bake these houses. I'm not making this up. We baked gingerbread houses, and we went door to door around Christmas, and we told people that we were raising money for the children's wing of the hospital. And people were buying the gingerbread houses, and we were using the money to buy drugs. And we got busted. Somebody didn't buy it, maybe because we were high, and they called the police, and we got busted for it. I don't think we had to give the money back, but the gig was up. The scam was over. And then my other friend, Frank, we called him Pinhead because his head was kind of shaped like a pin, but also because his sister sold pot. And when we were in 7th grade, he was selling pot to us. And his sister would roll these skinny-ass joints. We called them pin joints. Pinny Winnies, we called them. And he had a Mott the Hoople cassette case filled with $1 pin joints. And we'd smoke them at lunch. And so we called him Pinhead. And then finally, there were a bunch of guys we called the Grave Diggers because they smoked angel dust, and then they went to the cemetery in town, and there was a freshly dug grave, and they dug up the body, and they played football with the arm. I don't know how that came out. Somebody must have confessed to it, but they arrested them all, and they went to jail. They went to jail for it. And then they got out and they hung out on the same fucking corner that they always did, on the benches, listening to Black Sabbath and smoking angel dust. The Grave Diggers. And my sister was best friends with one of the guys. His name was Victor Murphy. And she hung out with Victor's younger sister. And I used to torture her. While she was asleep, I would sneak in to the room and I would start screaming, "It's Victor Murphy!" And she would fucking scream. And I don't think she cried, but I think his brother got run over by a garbage truck. It was very sad. I had a nice brother I was friends with. Got run over by a garbage truck and died. Jesus. All right, I had a bunch of your guys, but I didn't get to them. But let's get to this. Here's Doug Benson. We're going to do the interview, and then at the end, I'm going to let you know who got the most correct in our Oscar picks. Okay, so here we go. Oh, and I should mention I'm coming to Kansas City this weekend. I will be at the comedy club, I think it's just called the Kansas City Comedy Club. Go to Fitzdog.com, get your tickets, come down Thursday through Saturday. We'll see you there. All right, here's my interview with the great Doug Benson. I sit alone in a hotel room in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, home of the Italians and the Irish, and on the outside of town, the black people. Doug Benson sits in Hollywood, California, where everybody's just mixed up, right?
Yeah. We got it all here.
Do you think of LA as an integrated city?
Yeah. I sure do.
It really is.
Yeah, it's really, you pretty much encounter it all if you're, out and about.
Gays.
What?
Gays, a lot of gays. We're friends with some,
with the masks and everything. I just don't, I can't even guess anymore. I don't have actual conversations with anybody.
Yeah.
Right. Face to face,
Yeah.
But how is Philadelphia? This is your, you've already done a show there?
Yeah, I did one show last night. It was sketchy. It was not a big crowd because, it's at 50% capacity, which is fine because the Helium Comedy Club is my second favorite club in the country. And it has just a very, very compact, intimate feel. It's one of those places, there's clubs where you write new material and there's clubs where you rehash your best stuff just to get through the set.
I just want to guess what your number one club is.
I'll never say.
Oh, really?
Well, because say Molly from The Punchline calls and goes, hey, I listened to your podcast. You said the Philly was your number one club. So I always leave that spot open for whoever is going to call me out on it.
So whatever club you're playing is your second favorite club?
No, I truly believe that Philadelphia is my second favorite club.
Oh, okay.
But it's entirely possible if I was in Denver and I said Denver is my third favorite club, that my first favorite club may in fact be Philadelphia.
Okay. And was it, even though it was 50% capacity, was it technically a sellout?
I would say we hit around 47%.
Oh, that's good.
That's not too bad on a Thursday, but it's tough these days. People don't want to come out still, but I find the people that do want to come out, it's like they're on comedy ecstasy. They have so much fun in the audience. Yeah.
No, people are extra into it under the circumstances, which is nice because it makes up for the fact that the crowd is small. I don't mind small crowds. Like as long as I could say I sold out, that's what I care about. Right. I want to hit whatever the number is that you can do. But as far as I've had plenty of opportunities to do stand-up for, a big noisy crowd. So like a group of people that are actually listening and enthusiastic just because it's a small group, I don't know. I feel like shows are going to be great for that reason. Like that you said, the enthusiasm they have.
Also, it kind of like having a year off, it brings me back to why I got into stand-up and what the dynamic was at the kitchen table when I was, 9 years old. And I made a joke that made my parents laugh. And it gave me this endorphin rush that I guess some kids would maybe score a touchdown and feel that feeling, or maybe a woman would, perhaps do something as good as a man, or like something that would really make you feel excited. And then you go, that's what I want to do for a living. not that at 9 I thought that's what I do for a living, but it was definitely something that I was like, all right, I love that. And so it doesn't matter how many people are in the crowd, as long as that connection is there. And I think in the last year, it's kind of changed my context for what makes me feel funny. I don't need a standing ovation and people cheering. I just need to connect and say some new shit.
Yeah. And two shows tonight.
Mm.
And do you do meet and greets?
No meet and greets. I meet, but I don't greet.
What does that mean?
So I stand there, but as they come by and say hello, I say nothing. So it's not a meet and greet. And I will hand them slices of bologna and ham.
Well, I mean, lunch meets go a long way to make up for a terrible personality. It's so you just hang out somewhere alone-ish, like maybe go back to the hotel room between shows.
No, Philly is one of these towns where I know a lot of people. So last night I had some friends from this guy who was my neighbor in New York City for 10 years, came down with some of the friends we had in the neighborhood, and we all went out to eat before the show. And then after the show, we went to an Irish pub. And then tonight I got a buddy from college that I'm going to dinner with between shows. And then tomorrow night, I got a friend from high school who's coming down from New York, and I'm going out with him between shows.
That is quite a social scad you got going there. What? And you just go to places where, like restaurants that are open and they just seat people apart from each other?
Yeah. Philly's doing like 50% capacity in the restaurants. And last night we sat outside at the pub.
Yeah. I mean, that's, outside, you can't beat that, but I'm still just, impressed by your, you seem pretty okay with all of that.
Well, I got both my shots, so I feel pretty good. I feel
that's
strong.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, are you a guy who has people in every port? Do you have friends in different towns that you go out of your way to see, or do you kind of like to just do your own thing?
I'd say like a combination of the two. I think, you get. You do this enough, you get some people that hit you up when you come to town where you're just like, I don't really feel like,
Yeah.
Like, so sometimes I just sort of, chill on my own. And other times, a lot of it has to do with, weed and, because people, I want some and people want to smoke with me. And, so those kind of meetups happen, and then you just sort of become friends because it's a real social drug, as you know.
Right.
And so I definitely have people in every city, but I wouldn't say like I don't feel like I have friends that I have to see when I'm in any given town, especially because back in the day I'd hit a lot of cities 2-3 times a year.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I have to call everybody every time,
Yeah.
Especially like New York. It's really funny how many people I know in New York. And when I go there, I just do my shows and go to see shows. Yeah. And there's not much else, beyond that.
Right. Yeah. New York is it's also the amount of energy a city gives you. Like if I'm in New York or Philly or maybe San Francisco, I just hit the ground running. I mean, I just want to be out all the time, walking around, seeing people. And then if I go to a place like, let's say Kansas City, where I'm going to be this weekend, next weekend, I will really enjoy some alone time. I will enjoy going deep into some documentaries, maybe work out, maybe, there is self-pleasuring that takes place. And so I find that like having a house full of people that I live with, especially for the last year, I kind of embrace having, no responsibilities, nobody looking for anything from me.
Right. And then you still find yourself with too many things that you have to get done while you're on the road, and you don't have the excuse of not having,
Right.
internet and phone access. Like I remember when in the early days of traveling around being a stand-up, to call somebody, you'd have some dumb calling card and go down to the lobby and use a payphone.
Right.
Like trying to, you're at some gig and you're calling, like there's a certain time you have to call to get spots at, certain places. And, you're doing it from a goddamn payphone,
Right. Yeah. And once we got cell phones, then it was like you got charged by the minute. So you also were trying to like call somebody, have them call you back from a landline, so you call from the cell phone, give them the hotel number so they could call from their apartment to the hotel, where the second you checked into the hotel, you go to the remote control and you see, please let there be HBO or Showtime, because you didn't have internet. So the only movies you were watching was whatever came on that one HBO channel.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, but in a weird way, it probably expanded, what I've seen in my lifetime, because I just settled for stuff. And in some cases it's actually rewarding.
Right.
But the TV, I just feel like such an old asshole whenever I say to anybody any of that stuff about, we didn't used to have remote controls.
Yeah.
It used to be just 3 channels.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was no answering machines. That's the thing that really blows my mind, is if you wanted to call somebody and it was important, like we have to change plans, you didn't change plans. There was the plan and everybody stuck to the plan. And if you broke from the plan, you were a social outcast and you weren't invited next time. It made life really simple and it freed up your brain. It's like I play golf, and if I play golf, I don't turn on my phone for 4 hours. You'd be shocked how many friendships almost dissolve over the fact that I didn't text back within 4 hours. How many gigs I've lost because I didn't get back to the person within 4 hours, But
golf is worth it.
It's my only piece. It got me through the pandemic. Every Friday morning, I played golf throughout the whole pandemic, and it made me get off my phone. It made me connect to 3 good friends for 4 hours. I was outside, got a little exercise, and it just is. It's blissful to me. I fucking love golf. I know it's a game a lot of people make fun of. Oh, by the way, they've thought of a solution for the homeless problem in LA. And I am not making this up. There is a bill before the state right now that very well may pass that will turn the public golf courses into low-income housing. Because they say, well, you've only got, 500 or 1,000 people using them all year, and it's real estate that the city owns. They own Penmar, that whole tract of land of Penmar. It's a small city if you were to build buildings on it. And they're saying, well, fuck it, we'll just put homes there.
And that puts, all the people at that course out of work, and all the people who enjoy using it will be mad.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a George Carlin bit?
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, it sounds like a Carlin bit.
I think his thing was bury everybody in golf courses. Like, I think he was like turn golf courses into cemeteries. Or something, stuff like, he was very angry and anti-golf in his later years of comedy, which I always found interesting, because my dad was like a huge fan of George Carlin. And there's 2 things he didn't like. He didn't like the 7 words you can't say on television. Like, he didn't mind if he randomly swore, but he didn't like a bit about swearing. And he didn't like how, Carlin had a real fuck golfers kind of attitude there at the end.
Why your dad was a golfer?
Yeah. So he had to really reconcile with that, because it was really hard. Like, Carlin didn't just like cutely say, let's like it's, brain candy or whatever his silly book was called, brain noodles. Like
brain droppings.
Yeah. It wasn't like a joke like that. It was like 5 minutes of fuck golfers, fuck golf courses, that land can be used for more important things.
Yeah. I mean, it really is something that I was raised with it. I grew up playing it with my dad. and I play with my mom, and like I said, it's a real bonding thing for me. But if there was something I had to defend on paper, golf would be a tough one. It really is a bunch of rich white guys using a phenomenal amount of land, which is filled with toxic fertilizers to keep the grass growing. A lot of water gets poured onto it. And in the end, not that many people are really using that land. It's not like a park where thousands of people are showing up and walking dogs, playing baseball. And, but at the same time, I would protest. If it came down to it, I would get out and protest.
I mean, they're also doing this thing where they're building smaller houses for people.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just making lots of tiny houses. And, maybe that's going to hurt the mini golf world as well. Because maybe some of those structures will be used.
Well, what if you're the guy that has to live in the windmill? Because that's probably noisy, having that thing going off in your front yard all day.
Oh, yeah. And, you can't get anything done during the day because the daylight comes in, then it goes away, then it comes in, then it goes away.
All I know is if I protest, if I walk a picket line in front of the golf course, I got to make sure there's a guy there to carry my bag while I'm doing it. I'm not carrying my own bag. That
would be an amazing visual. Maybe Jack Nicholson will come out of retirement on that one. We know he's so passionate about golf. He took
Jack
a club and
Nicholas?
Smashed up a car. Nicholson. Because Nicholson's the one that smashed up somebody's car with a golf club once.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
That's great.
He had like parking lot rage at the golf course in Studio City.
It's supposed to be the most peaceful sport, but I have seen anger coming from people that I've never seen come out of them at any other time.
I mean, you get a mirrored thing happening at mini golf as well. People take it way too seriously.
Yeah.
And and just outdoor regular golf, mini golf, whatever it is, there's things happening to try to make you not do well.
Right.
There's elements.
Yeah.
And people just get so mad about those things.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, you can't. How about get really good at golf and then those things won't matter as much. You can kind of adjust.
Well, that's what it is. It's always the guys. I will let a professional golfer get angry when he hits a bad shot because he was at the practice tee that morning when the sun came up and he was on the putting green last night until it got dark. But if you come out once every 4 weeks and you've got a giant belly and maybe you've had 5 beers, you're not allowed to get angry when you hit a bad shot. You are a bad shot.
Yeah.
So is it a sport you grew up playing?
It's like a sport I grew up around because my dad was an avid golfer. He'd even play in like amateur tournaments quite a bit. And a lot of his friends were golfers. There was a golf club and a very nice course fairly close to where we live. So, we were like members.
Where'd you grow up, San Diego?
San Diego, yeah.
Oh, and your dad belonged to a club there?
Mm-hmm. And they had like a bar and restaurant. I liked the food there, and I liked that the bartender would put lots of grenadine in my Shirley Temple or Roy Rogers, whichever one I was feeling like. Uh-huh. And they had a pong game, a sit-down table pong game. Nice. And while my dad was golfing, I'd just be hanging out in the stupid lounge. And I figured out that if you rub your feet on the floor and build up static electricity and then take a quarter and touch it to the place, the metal pad where you put the money in on this game while also being off the ground. So there's just that, the electricity is just going between the quarter and the game. It would throw credits on the machine.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so I was always looking for angles like that. But at that place, I must have played so many games of Pong for free because I somehow figured that out.
Yeah, good luck to arcade game designers going up against the creativity and the sheer magnitude of time
of kids that are trying to get free games. It's like trying to keep prisoners in a prison. They've got all day just thinking about how do I get out of here.
My parents say that there was not a single crib they could buy or a single thing they could do with a crib, including putting a rock on top of it, that would keep me from somehow escaping. I would always get out somehow.
Yeah.
And then just sit right next to it. Like I wasn't trying to go anywhere.
Right. It was just, you can't cage me.
It's just a challenge. It's just a challenge. One time the whole family went to Disneyland and my parents, bought all the tickets and went through the turnstile, and it was kind of a Home Alone situation. They weren't sure where I was. And then turns out I was waiting for them inside. I figured out a way to sneak in.
That's great. That's awesome. Your dad was probably pissed that he spent the $30.
No, I don't think he even had to buy the ticket. Yeah, he probably did. He probably did. That would make him mad.
We had season tickets to the Giants when I was growing up. And so to the New York Giants. And it was cold. Those games were cold as shit. And so we had these tickets and they were pretty high up. And so we had the row that was the furthest back up against, those luxury boxes, the glassed in boxes where all the VIPs sit. So we would be freezing our asses off and look behind us. And there's all these people with their jackets off and they're eating shrimp. And it was like torture. And so I was probably maybe 11 or 12 years old. And then one day my father's sitting there freezing his ass off and he looks back. There's me inside the box, hot chocolate, sandwich, waving to him. And I got to know the people in there and I started going in there every game, me and my brother.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff is, that's wild. I mean, that's like, you want to get out of the cold, but isn't it weird how far away from the action those boxes are? They're not good seats.
No, you end up watching the game on the video screens inside.
Yeah.
They're terrible seats.
You're just excited to be in the building, I guess, and not having to sit out in the cold.
Well, it's kind of like being in a nightclub, which I don't go to a lot of nightclubs, but the few times I've gone, I've had access sometimes to the VIP area, which is roped off, and you're sitting in a booth with like the people you came with, except you're not meeting anybody new, and you can't hear what they're saying because the music is really loud. So you're really just like sequestered in a noisy spot for hours.
Yeah, and somebody's paying for it.
Someone's paying my bill. I certainly am not paying to get into when I was a teenager, we used to go to nightclubs in the city, but that was fun. We would go to like Danceteria, Studio 54. And I was like, I was like 17 years old and we had fake IDs and we would go in and like, we'd get in early before there was a line. That's the key to getting into nightclubs is don't show up at 10:30, 11 o'clock, show up at 8:30. And then then you
just got to kill time talking to your friend until things get interesting.
Right. And those were fun. Like we liked dancing and we would dress up. I used to wear mascara on my eyes and we thought it was cool.
I guess it probably sort of was. I mean, it's weird to look back on like the whole Studio 54 scene just seems so, Liza Minnelli and gay dudes, it was like kind of the takeaway, but it was trendy. Like I went to a few, discos in the 70s, like kind of kiddie discos because I was still in school and stuff, but still like places with the lights on the floor, like in Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
People that knew the dances. I never knew the dances. I didn't have the fucking suit. I eventually got the suit, but, still never learned to dance in it.
You like to dance?
I do. I like the idea of it. Like now it's, it's definitely like a, thing to do to break the ice, or if you're like with a bunch of friends. Like one of the most fun concerts I ever went to was when a bunch of us, very good chance you were there, were all performing at Bumbershoot.
Oh yeah.
We went to see a band at the Showbox called Ozo Motley. And
I wasn't at that one.
but like Karen Anderson and Karen Kilgariff and Zach Galifianakis and Nick Swartzen. I can just picture all of them, all of us just in the pit, just, jumping up and down and just sweating like crazy because it's a real high energy band.
Yeah.
And we were all just having fun together, there's not enough times where you're at a concert and you feel like, it's for you and your friends, usually you're not really in a group at a concert and, you have your assigned seats and whatnot.
Yeah, you always want to be on the floor. That's one thing I've learned about concerts is if you sit in the balcony, if you're up, you're watching a crowd watch a concert, especially since everybody's got their phones up now. It's like, you're here. Yeah. Be present at this moment. Don't record it on a device that's going to be lesser quality that you're going to look at later. Right. Well, you don't look at it later. You don't look at it later. Your friends don't want to see it. The only thing it is for just a general overall, if you consider yourself at all an influencer, that's the only reason I would take shots at a concert, just to, kind of brag that I was at, that concert or had that good of a seat. But phones are getting better. But like, I've been so close to the action sometimes, and you hold up your stupid iPhone and the picture looks like you're a mile away. Yeah, right. Right. I know. And the sound is muffled. And and then you're recording, your favorite Dave Matthews song, and then there's some fucking drunk chick who's in the row behind you, and she's singing louder than Dave Matthews. That's what you got on your camera.
I went to a Bob Dylan show at the big stadium, the outdoor stadium at Bumbershoot, and this is in Seattle, and horrible sound, horrible Bob Dylan voice where you can't, you probably couldn't tell what he was saying if the sound was good. And so I was just like, bummed out because it's exciting to see him. And I've seen him a few times and it's always a different experience. But in this case, I had like a backstage pass kind of thing. And the stage had this like walkway. If you were backstage, you could just walk directly underneath the stage. So I have this video of me just pointing up at myself as I walk underneath Bob Dylan, and the sound is terrible. I would never be able to convince anybody, this is a Bob Dylan concert.
Yeah, right. Yeah, backstage at a concert is like in a VIP box at a football game. It's the worst place to be. You're standing there with a bunch of like publicity agents and you just feel like, what am I could be anywhere right now. But what's your greatest backstage moment of all time?
Oh my goodness. This is wow.
I should have written this to you in advance so you could think about it.
Oh my God. I'll do it sometimes, but when there's homework for a podcast, I already start to get like, why did I say yes to this? Yeah. Because I appreciate that some shows, want you to show up with your answers, ready to go. I think that's a good idea. I just know I've never required that of anybody. Okay. So that being said, I just have been to so many concerts and everything that's flashing into my head are like the kind of like not as great stories. Oh, this one's pretty good. Kevin and Bean morning radio, K-Rock, Los Angeles, they would participate every year in the K-Rock Christmas show, right, which is always a big show. I started going to it when I was younger, just as a fan. I went a few times to the Universal Amphitheater, which is now, Harry Potter land. And then they've done it at lots of other places like the Shrine. And this particular time I'm going to tell you about was at the Forum, the great Los Angeles Forum. I'm just hanging out with everybody, Kevin, Bean, and the rest of the morning crew. And we're going to all go out there and introduce the headliner, which is Jared Leto and his band, 30 Seconds to Mars.
I was there that week. I was there that year.
You were?
Yeah. I never came backstage, though. We just went right out to the audience.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, that was a tremendous perk of
Came
being
out
a
in a
regular.
fur coat, right?
Well, yeah, real Jesus-y, like a caftan and like a lot of stuff going on and long hair and
Right.
with his arms outstretched and like he definitely. And that's what was so amazing about what happened is, because whenever people are like, Jared Leto, what an a-hole, what a dick, I'm always kind of like, well, there's this one time because, you know how it is, they have that rotating stage. And so, the DJs, whichever DJ, it's their turn to introduce the next band, kind of runs out onto the stage and introduces them. And then the stage rotates to the next band and they set up the next one behind the scenes. So that way it just keeps the show going when it's a bunch of acts over the course of the night. So for whatever reason, people got their signals crossed, and Kevin and Bean were like told, no, don't introduce Jared Leto. The stage is moving. 30 Seconds to Mars is happening. Don't worry about it. And Jared Leto was immediately like, I've been listening to Kevin and Bean since I was a kid, and everybody's excited about this show tonight. They should get to introduce the band. So he stopped everything so that the morning radio DJs, I mean, you know how they are in most cities. Like Jared Leto stuck his neck out for the morning radio guys because he grew up in Southern California and was a fan. And we all got to go out, and I'm the one that got to say 30 Seconds to Mars.
Nice. I love it. That's so cool.
Yeah, and we thought we weren't going to go out there at all for, a few seconds there until Jesus stepped in and solved the situation.
Let me tell you something. I didn't even know that guy was in a band. I went with my wife, and I'd heard of 30 Seconds to Mars. I didn't really, that's not like particularly my music, but he came out, that motherfucker delivers. It's the most amazing show. He's all about crowd interaction. He's all about, I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from you guys. He's like super personal. He talks to them, and he's got that, he's got that flair as a front man on stage. And it's just him and that one other guy, right?
Yeah, I think there's more to it. I think when they tour and stuff, there's more to it. But maybe as far as like writing the songs and stuff, it might be just the two of them.
Yeah, I was blown away. I thought he was really great.
I don't know that much about them. I just know that in whatever year Panic Room came out, I went to the K-Rock show at the aforementioned Universal Amphitheater. And when I was in the bathroom, I saw Jared Leto at the sinks washing up. And I recognized him, but also I remember when it was because he had the cornrows in his hair that he had in that movie. And I'm washing my hands. I look over before I could, say anything. He was headed towards the door. But before he goes out the bathroom door, he slapped a 30 Seconds to Mars sticker on the mirror in the bathroom. Like he was already a famous actor, but he was in an unknown band. So he was just going around putting the stickers in places.
That's fucking great. That's metal. That's metal right there.
Like passing out flyers or something.
All right. So listen, by the time this airs, the Oscars will have happened. And
Okay.
I did not give you homework, but you actually had the suggestion that maybe we go through the Oscar nominations and make some picks. So by the time...
Yeah, and I always like to throw out the disclaimer that, I will talk as if I know what's going to win, but I don't do that great in Oscar pools because, I don't follow it that closely. So especially whenever there's this kind of a surprise, I'm surprised as well.
Right. Okay, good. All right. That being said, this is this year's Oscar nominations. I will have already done an intro to this, so I will have said what your score is. But here is the nomination. First of all, what are your favorite? I was thinking about this. What are your favorite Oscar moments? Like I was thinking about The best, I think, was Angelina Jolie kissing her brother. I don't think there was ever like a bigger, I mean, there was Marlon Brando having the Native American woman accept for him. That was huge. But in modern times, I think her making out with her brother was about as big as it got.
Yeah, that was a huge one. You know, Jack Palance and his one-arm push-ups.
Oh, that was good. Yep.
Cuba Gooding Jr.'s just boundless enthusiasm.
Right. There was,
you know, what's his name? Adrian Brody just taking the opportunity to kiss Halle Berry on the mouth.
yep. And Roberto Benigni climbing on the chair tops. That was an exciting moment.
Yeah. And I mean, I was little when this happened, but you know, you hear about it and see the clip all the time where the streaker runs by while David Niven's trying to do present an award, and he just says some sort of thing that because he's British and he didn't pause before he said it, everybody thought it was the most brilliant thing they ever heard. And it was just something about, I don't know why someone would be so anxious to show off their shortcomings.
Yeah.
Like it was just that guy's got a tiny dick joke.
That was great. I think the other one obviously was it a couple years ago where they announced the wrong nominee? Was that
they announced they said La La Land instead of Moonlight, right, because somehow they ended up with the Emma Stone for La La Land envelope, and Faye Dunaway got excited as soon as she saw La La Land. They didn't bother to notice that it also. Then Warren Beatty noticed that it said Emma Stone, and he was like, "Hey, this isn't." Something went wrong. I mean, at that point, there was a chance that they'd find the right envelope and it would still be La La Land.
Yeah.
But nope. Turns out it's Moonlighting, but Moonlight. But that was another one of those ones where they break it up, where the director won for one of the, you know, for La La Land, and Moonlight won for Best Picture. So at least both movies got something.
Right. All right. So this year, let's start with Best Picture. The nominees are, let's see, Sound of Metal, Mank, Minari, that Korean movie, Promising Young Woman, or The Father. Who do you like?
Wait, you didn't even say all of them.
Oh, Judas and the Black Messiah, Trial of the Chicago 7, and Nomadland. Jesus, that's a lot of them. Is that more than usual?
Yeah, what happens is, and this is going to end starting next year, so I don't, you know, it's crazy that to even have to discuss it, but they've done this weird balloting system where anywhere from 5 to 10 movies can be nominated for Best Picture, and it's a strange thing where it turns out each year it's a different amount, and this year I think it's 8. Is that right?
That's 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So this year it's 8, but it could be anywhere from 5 to 10. But they're going to change back to just, I think next year it's just they're just going to nominate 10 movies and leave it at that.
Yeah.
But that being said, you know, depends on who you talk to. Some people think it's between Nomadland and Promising Young Woman, but you know, there's others that think that Trial of the Chicago 7 can slip in there. The trouble is that, you know, Nomadland has been the most awarded, you know, at all of these award shows leading up to this one.
Right.
So it's certainly got that momentum, but, you know, it's a strange time. You know, it's been 14 months since the last Oscars. And I think the movies were great. I don't think they, you know, I think all of the movies nominated for Best Picture, for instance, I think they're all really good movies. Some are more boring than others.
Well, they're always downers, and I read that like a lot of people didn't see them.
Right, because it's like, you know, I think the voters, you know, had more access to the movies because of the fact that they still get screeners, but they also, these movies are on a lot of the streaming services.
Yeah, right.
So they kind of have more access, but people are, it's a weird time to be, you know, trying to watch every movie just so you could, you know, vote for the Oscars. I've seen almost everything that's been nominated just because I just like to do that. I just like to watch everything and then, really I don't feel like I understand the horse race any better, but at least I have more of a opinion about what should happen.
So what's your pick?
I'd give it to Promising Young Woman, but I think that Trial of Chicago 7 is going to win. And the reason I think it's going to win is because there's too many categories down ballot, if you will, that it's not going to win. That I think that ultimately they still want it. The Academy as an idea still wants to give him in that movie something.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Best actor: Anthony Hopkins, Riz Ahmed, Stephen Yeun, Chadwick Boseman, Gary Oldman.
Well, Riz Ahmed just won the what do you call it? The Independent
Golden
Spirit.
Globe? Oh, okay.
The Independent Spirit. No, the Globe went to
Chadwick Boseman, I think.
Maybe. Yeah, it's weird because these people were nominated in different categories at these different shows, so it's hard to keep track. But Riz, he's won some stuff, but last night was Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom wasn't in the running because it wasn't an independent film. So that I think that's why he won last night. I still think Chadwick Boseman's going to win because an amazing performance capping an amazing career that ended too soon.
Yeah,
and he's got family and stuff, and I mean. Just the fact that he is Black Panther and that movie turned out good and was such a huge hit and everything, like he's just an iconic person now. Kind of, it's very similar to Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Or Peter Finch with I'm Not Going to Take It Anymore. I'm mad as hell in Network. He won after he had died.
Oh, that was posthumous too. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I just feel when it happens, the odds are in that person's favor. I think there have been some posthumous nominees who did not win. I don't know the stats on that, but I think generally, it's going to go that way just because it's just a nice, chance to honor that person.
Yeah.
So people grab it. It's hard to be objective, but also his performance in that movie is really good too. So.
All right. Best actress: Andra Day, Vanessa Kirby, Carey Mulligan, Viola Davis, Frances McDormand. Tough one.
Yeah, Bennington said the funniest thing about Andra Day. He said that maybe it's just good casting.
Yeah.
I need to see her in something else.
Yes, I know. That's hilarious.
Did they find somebody that looks and sounds like Billie Holiday?
Yeah. That was like Val Kilmer in the Doors movie. It's like he could have done that without the script.
Yeah, but she I've seen her in interviews and stuff, and she's definitely, she doesn't she doesn't behave like Billie Holiday.
Uh-huh.
It's a really good performance, but it's in what I think is kind of a rocky movie. It's kind of feels a little melodramatic at times.
She won the Golden Globe though, right?
Yeah, but that it fell into the comedy or musical category.
Oh, I see.
And in the comedy or musical category, because every award show is, for the most part, wants to go out of its way to not award comedy. They stick the word musical in there. So like the year Chicago came out and was a huge hit, it wins best musical or comedy, and these 4 comedies are standing around with their dick in their hands.
Right. Yeah.
How can you beat a great musical with your dumb little comedy? So anyway, so she won musical or comedy actress for that. And she's really good. That's where she's at her best in that movie, is in the singing scenes. But I think it's like there's a lot of nudity that I felt was like exploitative.
Uh-huh.
It's a weird movie.
Yeah.
And that's why he didn't get nominated for anything else, which happens a lot in the best actress category, because there's so few great roles for women that the ones that do happen in movies that aren't that great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it sucks. So, but anyway, this year the 5 I think they're all very good, but I think the winner's going to be Carey Mulligan for young woman.
Yeah, I haven't given my predictions either. I'm predicting the same thing, Carey Mulligan. I'm predicting Chadwick Boseman, same as you. Best Picture, I'm picking Nomadland.
Yeah, I mean, it's been winning everything, so there's no reason to not think that it'll win an Oscar. It's such a singular movie because just the idea of doing a movie about, people who just kind of wander the earth and do odd jobs and just don't have a home, it's a really slowly paced, but also very lyrical and poetic and beautiful. Like, it's weird.
Beautifully shot. Yeah.
It's winning editing awards.
Yeah. Right.
Like last night at the Independent Spirits, it won best editing. And it's just like, what? It's so slow and has so little cutting in it, but that's what they're rewarding, is that it's edited in a way that's very
restrained,
just all very pleasant and has a nice chill vibe to it. But some people just hate it.
Yeah.
They just don't have the patience for it at all. It is kind of like if yoga were a movie.
You know what? If you check my web browser, it is. That's
right. You watch movies while you do the poses.
Yeah, that's right. Best Supporting Actor: Paul Raci, Sacha Baron Cohen, Lakeith Stanfield, Leslie Odom Jr., and Danielle Kaluuya. Kaluuya,
yeah. He and Lakeith Stanfield are both in Judas and the Black Messiah, and they play Judas and the Black Messiah. That's like if, Rain Man, if they'd nominated for Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise for supporting actor.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense. It's just racial inclusivity. It's just like they're getting their shit together, because they're both great performances, but, Lakeith isn't that showy, so it's kind of hard to picture it up against like Anthony Hopkins acting out dementia.
Right. Yeah.
So
what a great movie. I love that movie. And it really was. The acting was what made it. It was just amazing.
He's pretty incredible in it. And, but it is a frustrating watch if you've, had anybody close to you that, if you've had to go through this.
Yeah. Right.
Probably kind of triggering. Who are the other options? What are we talking about?
Paul Raci, Sound of Metal,
right.
Sacha Baron Cohen, and Leslie Odom Jr.
Leslie Odom Jr. came out of the gate hot. Like, everybody thought he was the odds-on favorite to win for playing Sam Cooke in One Night in Miami. And that's also that's another thing, like singing in a movie and doing it well and being the voice of somebody that people know, just recently Renee Zellweger playing Judy Garland. Like, that's a really impressive thing. So it's kind of hard for the Academy to resist that. But there just seems to be, there's momentum for Raci because he's really good in the movie. And, it's always fun to give an Oscar to someone who's somewhat of an unknown before the movie happened.
Right.
He's really good in that movie. Who else?
Leslie Odom Jr. Oh, no, you just said that.
Yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, and then there's one more.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah, okay. Daniel Lakeith. Yeah, I think Daniel Kaluuya is definitely going to win.
Okay.
And again, because he plays the more charismatic character, and he's been winning all the other awards, and he's great. I'd even say he's probably my favorite of those two, but he's going to win.
All right, I got the same for him winning. Okay. Best Supporting Actress. The nominees are Amanda Seyfried for Mank, Olivia Colman for The Father, Yoon Jo-young for Minari, Maria Bakalova for Borat, and Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, which is one of the only movies I did not see.
Oh, good for you.
No, I won, huh?
Yeah, you win.
Yeah.
It's just weird because I think politics are a big part of that book that it's based on, and they just took that part out of it. It's just more about just abuse and addiction and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of histrionics and just felt very, like almost like a TV movie or something. And Glenn Close is always great. Like, it just goes without saying that she's going to be great and committed and do a good job. It's just weird that, her is like her 8th nomination or something, but I still think they're going to hold out and make her wait.
Oh, she's had 8 nominations that she never won?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So some people think she'd do a role like this with lots, makeup and stuff, like, out of desperation to finally get the Oscar. But I think she's more like just into trying to do great, interesting roles.
Right.
Why would she turn down Ron Howard and Amy Adams? I mean, that's stupid.
Right.
But the movie, the main character, the boy, the son of Amy Adams' character, grandson of Glenn Close's character, is just, there's just nothing interesting about him.
Yeah.
So, and he's the main character, so it's just sort of hard. I don't know. I didn't like it. Okay, but so they're not going to give it to Glenn because they're going to give it to the nice old lady or cranky old lady, depending on when you talk to her, from Minari.
Yoon Jung. Yeah, I agree. I get the same one.
Yeah. She's given some fantastic acceptance speeches. She called the British when she won the British Oscar, the BAFTA. She said she was happy to win because they're so snobbish.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That might have been a weird, like she just didn't, her word that she wanted to use didn't translate right, All
right, two more and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
Best director. The nominees are, although I think everybody knows who's going to win. I think for the most part, this is a very predictable year. I don't think there's going to be any major surprises. Best director is Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, David Fincher for Mank, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, and Lee Isaac Chung for Minari.
I think Emerald Fennell does the most interesting directing work of the 5, but it's just the Nomadland Express has left the station. I just think that, and everybody likes her so much.
Yeah.
Her next movie is a big, Marvel movie called Eternals. So that's wild that she's going from that movie to an action movie.
That's cool.
So she's clearly very talented. So I think she'll win for that.
Okay. Finally, original screenplay.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to be like short subject. I thought you were going to throw in a weird category because sometimes in people's Oscar pools, like the tiebreaker is, best makeup, or like my favorite tiebreaker is everybody has to guess how long they think the show is going to be. And the closest to however long it ends up being wins.
Well, considering the fact that we have all the same picks except for Best Picture, and if we're both wrong on Best Picture, it will be a tie. So I'm going to add that after we do Best Original Screenplay. Sound of Metal, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Judas and the Black Messiah, and The Trial of the Chicago 7.
That's it's funny. It does seem predictable, but it kind of is narrowed down to, 2 things in each category, because it also just could be like, where are they going to honor Aaron Sorkin for this movie? Because he wrote and directed and produced it. Yeah. And everybody loved it. It's total awards fodder. Would have got more acting nominations if it wasn't a movie that had 8 supporting actors in it.
All right.
There's no real lead and there's no women that have any parts that are any good. So where do they give him the award? So this is where they can give him the award.
Interesting math.
But I still kind of feel like he's going to get that movie's going to get Best Picture. And so in this spot, that's where you reward Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman.
I got the same pick. Same pick. All right, let's go to the tiebreaker. I'm going to scroll. I'm scrolling randomly and landing on Best Sound.
Okay. I think we're going to agree, but.
All right, News of the World. Oh, no, we're not going to pick this one because it's obviously going to be Sound of Metal.
It's going to be Sound of Metal because it's the most, like, the sound was one of the most outstanding things in the movie.
Yeah. All right. Best Short Documentary.
Okay.
It's either a concerto is a concerto is a conversation. A love song for Natasha. Colette. Do Not Split, or Hunger Ward.
Yeah. You remember when I said I've seen everything? This is like the last thing I'm doing is watching the shorts. I've only seen the Latasha short.
Uh-huh.
And I barely know what the others are about because I don't like to know what they're about before I watch them. So, but Latasha is really good. So I'll just go Latasha.
All right. I'm going to put you down for Latasha. And I am going to pick Concerto is a conversation because it sounds a little bit pretentious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think the voters are going to see Concerto and they're going to be like, yeah, that sounds like something I'd be, I'd be really, admired for picking.
Yeah. If Greg Fitzsimmons has trouble pronouncing it, that's for me.
Why is it Concerto?
Concerto.
Concerto.
Concerto is what you ask about when you're in Mexico and you want to go to a rock show. Where's the concerto?
And I want to get an erection. Do you have one of those pills, a Concerto? All right. Well, I will have announced the winners already in the preamble to the show, and then we will see who wins. And I forgot to tell you what the prize is.
Please do.
All right. The loser has to tweet out something nice about the winner. I think it should be, I think Doug Benson is the most underrated comic out there. #respect. Or you have to write that about me.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to put a gun to my head to write that, but I mean,
no, you have to write that about me.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I think, I don't think, I mean, people will be like, what's going on with those two? But, might read as sarcasm. I don't know. But here's the weird thing, Greg, is we each picked one of the shorts, but there's 3 other shorts that could win. Then we're still back at a tie.
All right, let's pick a second short each. So you get Latasha and what else? I'll tell you the other names. A love song for Latasha. You got Colette.
I'll take Colette.
You take Colette. I'll take Hunger Ward.
I got Latasha and Colette, and I'm going to laugh so hard at that 5th thing that neither one of us has wins. Then we both have to tweet that we respect each other.
Yes. If it's a tie, we both write it. All right, Doug, anything you want to plug? I tried to look up your dates, but I don't see any. I don't know if you're touring or not.
There's stuff like trickling in. If you go to douglovesmovies.com, dates will be popping up there as I start to, like, in the fall, I think is when I'm going to get a little bit more into it. I was already trying to kind of cut back on my travel a little bit before Pando. So it's dovetailed into a nice arrangement where I think I'm going to go on the road, like maybe, 1 or 2 weekends a month. That feels like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it.
Yeah.
Probably 2 weekends a month.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to do that. And so look for the dates at douglovesmovies.com. But in the meantime, I've just been churning out episodes of Doug Loves Movies and Wide World of Doug's. Greg was a guest recently on Wide World of Doug's. It was a super fun episode.
That was fun. It's a fun show.
So, just come listen to me podcast if you want.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to hear one of the originals, one of the OGs of the podcasting world, doing it right. Most underrated podcaster out there. All right, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
All right, so you heard it. We made our picks. The Oscars were last night, and I can tell you now the results of the contest. For Best Picture, I was correct. I picked Nomad. He said Chicago 7. For Actor, we both said Chadwick Boseman. We were both wrong. Actress Carey Mulligan, we were both wrong. It wasn't Carey Mulligan. Who was it? Anyway. Support, and then the rest we all got right, but then for the shorts, which was supposed to be the tiebreaker, he got it right, so it was tied. We were completely tied. So I texted Doug just now, what should we do for the tiebreaker? And he said, let's just both send out a tweet about each other. So we did. And I got to check my Twitter feed right now and see what he wrote about me. I wrote that Doug Benson is the most underrated comedian out there. He wrote, sometimes I think Greg Fitzsimmons is one of the most underrated comedians out there. He wrote the exact same thing. So we'll see if Twitter catches on to our little scam. All right, that'll do it. Thanks to my friends over at Midcoast Media. Beth Hoops and all the folks that take care of me over there. And we'll catch you next time. God bless America.